We're now streaming live on YouTube, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you very much. So good evening and welcome to this Executive Board meeting of East Lindsey District Council, 31st of March. What a glorious day it's been today. And you're either very pleased to see the visitors or you're very worried that they've travelled some distance to get here. So it's going to be something between the two. So welcome all. Thank you for your attendance, officers and Exec Board members, and Councillor Martin as Chair of Overview. And we potentially have part of our leadership programme process, Nicola Holderness, who might be attending this evening. So we'll move straight on to the agenda. So record of attendance, any apologies, Anne?
I've not been made aware of any, Chairman, but I know Councillor Griss, I was just going to say Councillor Griss, but I think he's just connecting now.
Yeah, Councillor Kirk has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I've just been on the phone to Councillor Ashton and he's stuck in a field on a tractor at the moment, so he sends his apologies.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Thank you. Welcome, Councillor Howard. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier. Right, moving on. Disclosures of any interests relating to the agenda item. Just in respect of the item 6, a proposed transfer of Eldc assets to Woodall Spa Parish Council. I am ward member for Woodall Spa and Kirkby on Bain, but I haven't actually taken any meaningful part in the process. So I feel I'm able to vote. If the monitoring officer has another view, I'll happily listen, but I feel able to vote because I haven't got any prejudicial interest in that. Okay, so moving on, minutes of the last meeting. Could I have someone to say that, or could colleagues say that they're happy with the minutes? If any changes need making, please let me know. So on the basis that it's quiet, and I've seen a couple of thumbs up and nodding heads from colleagues, I will accept those as given. Silence is acceptance. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the action sheets. Rob, anything to report back on the action sheets?
Mr. Chairman, everything's marked as being actioned, which is good.
Thank you. So we move on to item 6, which is the proposed transfer of Eldc assets to Woodall Spa Parish Council. I believe that's your
fast. What about item 5?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, there we go. It's been a long day. Item 5, thank you, Councillor Fry. So it's the Strategic Alliance COVID-19 Recovery Plan, to consider approval of the Strategic Alliance Recovery Plan. And this is a joint paper between Councillor Fry and myself. And I think, Councillor Fry, you said you were happy to lead on it.
Yes, I am, Chairman. And indeed, as you will be aware, on the 18th of March, a recovery plan, a briefing session was held for all councillors. I believe it was well received and councillors contributed to the development of the plan. Indeed, the plan should be taken forward as a living document, which gives form and framework to existing initiatives and has the ability to capture our aspirations as funding becomes available. The recovery plan is focused on delivering activities and things that are tangible and useful to local people and businesses. Progress will be measured and reported to Executive Board every 6 months. That will help us to understand what is working and what is not, to solve problems, identify the potential to implement additional or improved initiatives, and to ensure resources are provided to us by government, to ensure that the resources provided to us by government are spent to good effect on activities that produce the greatest benefit. It is anticipated the first review will be reported to Exec Board in September of 2021. So, in summary, the purpose of this recovery plan is set out a range of practical measures calculated to help people and businesses of both Boston and East Lindsey bounce back from the harm that's been caused to the area's economies and civil society by the lockdowns imposed on local businesses and communities to contain COVID-19. The recommendation is, and I propose that Executive Board approves the recovery plan and authorises its implementation. And I just want to mention that full details of what's proposed can be found in the plan itself, and particularly at Appendix A. So that's my proposal, Chairman, and that's where I stop.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. I know a lot of work has gone into this, and we've had this discussed with members via Reserve Members' Day. Any comments from colleagues before we accept that? Because I think it's a good piece of work, and I think your point is very valid that actually the recovery process is going to take a period of time that we need to keep on top of and referencing to this document. Okay, any comments from exec board members? Okay, on the basis that we're going to accept that, can I have a seconder, please? I'll happily second that. Actually, so it's proposed by Councillor Fry. I'll second it. I think we do need to take a vote on that. Councillor Ashton, we have apologies for. Councillor Bowkett?
For.
Councillor Foster?
For.
Councillor Fry?
For.
Councillor Gray?
For.
Councillor Grist?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Kirk?
For.
Myself, I will support. And Councillor Marsh?
For.
Thank you very much. So we look forward to seeing that implemented and being referenced over the next 18 months or so. Okay, we move on, previous to my haste, to item number 6, which is the proposed transfer of ELDC assets to Woodall Spa Parish Council, and to consider approval of the transfer of the identified schedule assets to Woodall Spa Parish Council. And again, I believe that's Councillor Fry.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
I'm going to take you through this fairly formally because I think this is important. The report considers the proposal for the transfer of an identified schedule of council-owned assets from East Lindsey District Council to Woodall Spa Parish Council. The proposed transfers are intended to help the council retain a better balanced portfolio of assets more closely aligned with the core objectives and strategic priorities of council, in conjunction with giving the towns and parishes greater control over the assets in their areas. The Eldc and Woodall Spa Parish Council have undertaken a period of consultation and negotiation prior to submission of the proposal. This report recommends asset transfers specific to Woodall Spa where agreement has been reached. Members are asked to consider the proposal and their alignment with the asset management framework, asset transformation programme and corporate strategy, and support the recommendation for transfer of the assets to Woodall Spa Parish Councils. It's useful to mention that transfers have been completed and negotiations are ongoing with other town and parish councils, adopting the same principles for the transfer of assets to local communities. And further reports will be prepared for member consideration once negotiations reach agreement and the proposed terms for these transfers. The recommendation, therefore, is that Executive Board approves the transfer of the identified schedule of assets to Woodall Spa Parish Council as detailed in the report. And the reasons for this being to support the aims of the Council's Asset Management Framework Transformation Programme in the identification of assets which may be better managed at a more local level. The market value of the assets proposed for transfer is assessed as £150,000. However, in strategic terms, they are considered to have limited to nil value. The package of assets proposed for transfer will achieve a net budget saving of £6,325 per annum. A one-off commuted sum payment of £20,000 previously allocated in the ELDC budgets will be made towards the maintenance costs in connection with Royal Square Memorial Gardens and the memorial situated there. Given that the proposed transfer meets the objectives of the asset management strategy framework and assets have limited strategic value, the transfer is considered to represent an acceptable outcome for East Lindsey District Council and is recommended for approval. Chairman, thank you. I'm therefore recommending approval of this report.
Thank you. Any comments from colleagues, please? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. Just in respect of this, this has been an ongoing negotiation over a long period of time. I think it's good to. Oh, Councillor Kirk, sorry, you please carry on.
Yeah, thank you. No, just to fully support this, I wholeheartedly endorse our programme of transferring assets back to the local community. Certainly from experience in Skegness and other areas, the local community often could do a better job of maintaining the assets at a lesser cost than we can as a district council. It's right there in the heart of their communities. They take pride in them, they look after them, and I think it's exactly the right thing to do. And I would urge other parish councils to come forward. If you've got an asset that we own that you think you can manage better, come forward and talk to us about it.
I think that's very well put, actually. This has been ongoing for a little while, and one of the key pieces being the rally field and the Royal Square, which has quite a special place in the centre of Woodall Spa. So I can't see any of the speakers. I'm happy to second this. So we have it to propose and seconded, and in the absence of other speakers, we'll go to the vote. So Councillor Ashton is absent. Councillor Beauclerk,
For.
Councillor Foster,
For.
Councillor Fry,
For.
Councillor Gray,
For.
Councillor Grist. I haven't heard Councillor Grist. I think
I think I've lost
connectivity.
Okay, thank you. So we'll count him as absent for this. Councillor Kirk.
For.
Myself, I will vote for. Councillor Marsh.
For.
Okay, so that is taking into account Councillor Grist not being able to vote on that. It is passed. So thank you very much for that support. And we now move on to agenda item 7, which is the Lincolnshire Homes for Independence Blueprint. And this is to consider the Lincolnshire Homes for Independence Blueprint, funny enough. So in effect, this is Councillor Beauclerk's paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Right, well, I'm really proud to present this tonight. It's one of my passions, as everybody will know. So here we go. So housing is a key detriment of health. The evidence is clear that mental health, physical health, well-being and life opportunities are positively impacted through access to safe, warm, affordable and decent homes. This Lincolnshire Homes for Independent Blueprint is a result of a system-wide collaboration and commitment to ensure that Lincolnshire residents can access and sustain safe, affordable and appropriate housing solutions throughout their lives. Whilst it will be supported by a delivery plan, which will be a live delivery plan, not something that will sit on the shelf, the blueprint itself is a high-level statement and call to action to partners across the Lincolnshire system. It is relevant to many areas of the Council's work: housing and wellbeing, planning, environment, economic growth, better ageing, wellbeing links, and the blueprint focuses on key thematic areas that require a system response. Growing the supply of appropriate housing to meet a range of specific housing needs, aiming to influence the design, location and number of homes delivered, secure better outcomes for existing resources, and enable residents in Lincolnshire to plan ahead to meet their housing needs. The blueprint has been developed over a long period of time. It's taken about 18 months to do this by all partners, the 7 districts, the County Council, CCG, Health, Police, Fire. Everyone sat around this table to produce this, and it is significant that this is a system-wide programme of work. Its delivery and work programme will be overseen by the Health, Housing Care Delivery Group at County Council, but will require continued commitment and collaboration for all partners to deliver the associated work programme. The blueprint was endorsed by Health and Wellbeing in December 2020, and it has since been endorsed by Lincolnshire County Council and so far by 5 different districts. It's endorsing the blueprint. Members are being asked to commit to a set of principles that can be delivered collaboratively across the housing, health and care system. And the recommendation today is members are asked to endorse the Lincolnshire Homes for Independent Blueprint, agree to support its ambitions and shape the associated work programme for the benefits of communities and our residents. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think, as you say, it's a very important document that we share across the county to make sure that these standards are maintained and improved and impact on the well-being of our residents. So it is an important paper. Any other comments from colleagues? I can't see any hands. I'm taking silence as approval. Just in terms of, can I just ask Councillor Beauclerk, this is actually going to be a joint paper across the districts, that this is a joint view, so that there's a standard set of standards for this particular issue.
Yeah. All districts except Lincoln have signed up to it so far. I'm working on Lincoln at the moment, but I think we're going to have agreement from them. But Michelle and I are intending to take it to our planning department. We're asked Councillor Ashton if we can take it to there so that we can present it there as well, so we can try and work with the planning department as well. So it is a live document. It's not something that's going to sit on a shelf and gather dust. It's something that we hope all districts will work to, and it can only be better for our residents, can't it?
Excellent. Okay, so we have a proposal for that. I'm quite happy to second that. So we'll go to the vote on that, because I think it's important that we do actually show strong support for this. So Councillor Ashton is absent. Councillor Beauclerk?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Foster?
Yeah, for.
Councillor Fry?
Absolutely for.
Thank you. Councillor Gray?
4.
Has Councillor Grist managed to get back with us yet? Not
No.
quite, thank you. Councillor Kirk,
4.
I will support it myself, thank you. And Councillor Marsh.
4.
Thanks very much. Okay, we move on to agenda item 8, which is the safeguarding policy and procedures. And so that's to consider the adoption of the updated safeguarding policy and procedures. Is that Councillor Beaufort again?
It will be when I find it, yes. Just bear with me a second. Because I've gone, here it is, sorry. I went past it. I do apologise.
Don't worry, thank you.
Right, 2 secs and I'll be with you. Right, here we go. Right, so yes, safeguarding policy and procedures. This is a joint safeguarding policy between Boston Borough Council and ourselves, East Lindsey, as the Alliance. And it's a safeguarding as a statutory duty for both our councils. And it encompasses a range of legal duties and responsibilities designed to protect people's health, well-being and human rights, and support them in preventing problems with escalating and enabling them to live free from harm, abuse and neglect. This report provides an overview of the policy framework for both councils to fulfil their statutory responsibilities and to demonstrate safeguarding competence and compliance. Both councils' safeguarding policy frameworks were already aligned. However, as part of the transition to a strategic alliance, the policy procedures and reporting structures will now be shared, which I think is very, very important, and certainly do the officers. There are direct links and interdependencies with other council policies, including complaints, recruitment and selection, whistleblowing. Safeguarding compliance is audited and checked through a process of self-assessment, spot checking and external audit by the respective safeguarding boards. This report presents the updated safeguarding policy and procedures for the strategic alliance, and the key changes can be summarised as: to reflect that this is a strategic alliance policy for both councils, roles and responsibilities and reporting arrangements are updated, web links refreshed and updated, updated guidance on domestic abuse, modern day slavery and hoarding, training plan updated, and safeguarding board 6-year training pathway is reflected, extracted as a separate procedure document. So the recommendations today are that the members agree to adopt the updated safeguarding policy and procedures for the strategic alliance, and that members were asked to note that safeguarding is now being delivered as a shared corporate function across the strategic alliance. And the reasons for these recommendations are to ensure that the councils can continue to fulfil statutory responsibilities to safeguarding children and adults, and to increase capacity, resilience and share resources effectively across the alliance to manage our wider-ranging safeguarding roles and responsibilities. I really do think this is an important paper, and it has. I will congratulate the officers who's done this, because it has taken some work, and to come to get the papers for both councils to agree, I think is fantastic. So I'd like to recommend this to council. Thank you to exec board. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just have some clarity from Rob? Do we need to vote on this? Is this for noting, or do we need to vote on it?
We need to adopt it, Craig, so vote.
Okay, thank you. No problem at all. So again, another very important piece of work for this council, and across both councils as well. The approach jointly, I think, is important, and gives us strength in dealing with some quite difficult cases and matters. So I'm very pleased to see this paper and appreciate all the work that has gone into it. Any comments from colleagues? I know we've discussed this quite in depth at briefing. Okay, Councillor Marsh.
I'd just like to, if Councillor Beaufort is proposing, I'd just like to second it because it's a really important document, one we should support for it.
Okay, thank you. So it's proposed by Councillor Beaufort and seconded by Councillor Marsh, and we'll go to the vote. So Councillor Ashton is absent. Councillor Beaufort?
4.
Councillor Foster?
4.
Councillor Fry?
4.
Councillor Gray?
4.
Councillor Grist, if he's here. Not me made it back yet. No. Councillor Kirk?
4.
I will support myself. Councillor Marsh?
4.
Excellent, thank you for that. So you have the support there, Councillor Beaufort. Thank you very much. We now move to item 9, which is the Standing Reference Group report, which was led by the Overview Committee, or a subcommittee of the Overview Committee. We have Councillor Martin here this evening. Would you like just to introduce this, Councillor Martin, please?
I would. I'm somewhat at a disadvantage because I can't actually see the paper, because on the website and on the link that was sent to me, actually it's the wrong paper. It's not the standing reference group paper that's
I noticed that as well.
behind that, and I'm struggling because I cannot physically get the report up. It's the wrong link. But just to say really that this was a very good piece of work that was done at fairly short notice. The recommendations, I think, are self-explanatory. I would like to thank all the exec board members and officers who did come along and give evidence to this group and the work that was done. The only recommendation I would like to bring to everybody's attention is, I think, the last one that talks about the exec board bringing to scrutiny's attention, and I am working solely from memory, so I hope I've got this right, pieces of work at an early stage, because I think it would have been extremely useful for overview and scrutiny to have had some input into this project at an earlier stage than we did. And it would be very helpful to overview when we're working out our annual scrutiny programme, if exec board members could bring to our attention projects at an early stage that they think would benefit from our input, really. So that would be helpful. But I say I'm struggling a little bit because I cannot actually get the paper up because it's the wrong paper behind the link.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate the comments. I think we've had a number of cases, well, many cases where overview and the exec board have worked well in terms of picking up recommendations and going forward with those. And I think the more that we can do on that basis, it makes for a more harmonious council and obviously for better operation across the council, which is helpful. This has been to briefing, and I'm very pleased that our exec board members and officers have contributed to this. I know I was part of it, and I was very pleased to do so. And if you could pass on to your committee members, it was done in a spirit which was actually very helpful to officers and to portfolio holders dealing with this. You're right. Recommendation 8 is to ensure that future projects come forward in good time, so there can be this work given a longer time scale to input and advise and help with the projects with exec board. So quite happy to take the recommendations. As I say, they have been picked up by officers and portfolio holders dealing with this, and appreciate the work that's been involved. So if any comments from colleagues? Okay, so this is for noting. We don't need to vote on it, but again, appreciation to Councillor Martin and the scrutiny panel that were involved in this. Okay, we move on. We move on to item 10, which is the Visitor Economy Resilience paper. There are some appendices that are exempt. Now, if colleagues want to discuss that, we will have to go into closed session. So I'm certainly not going to go into the appendix information. Councillor Kirk, would you like to make comment on the paper? Thank you. You're muted, sorry.
I thought Councillor Griss was leading on this one, but I'm happy to in news.
Oh, what is next to you? I think he's come back. Councillor Griss, are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, we're good. Yeah, are you okay to?
I'm sorry, I've got the usual connectivity issues, so apologies. I've missed the last couple of papers. Yeah, happy to make a few opening remarks. Quite a meaty paper, but an important one nonetheless. An awful lot of work has gone into this to get where we are and get the paper here this evening. So I'm grateful to officers for all their work. And this is we think a necessary building block in order to
one thing we're going to have to work on is part of the paper is improving the broadband, which is going to be quite essential for a visitor economy. Councillor Griss, are you still there? There we go, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, can you not hear me very well?
We've just
Yeah,
missed probably about 10 seconds.
Improving the broadband in my village would be lovely for a start. Start at 10. Yeah. I think the recommendations are set out on page 183, I think. There are 4 very clear recommendations, and the intention is to be at the heart of this new DMO, Destination Lincolnshire. We're fully committed to it, and we think it can really work for East Lindsey if we're at the heart of it and the heart of everything it does, and that's certainly the plan. So I won't say any more than that if you're struggling to hear me, but I hope the paper's self-explanatory and it can be supported.
Thank you. It is a very important paper, and I think our tourism industry and the hospitality industry that we have, and all the things that support it, are critically important to the economy of East Lindsey. Councillor Kirk, would you like to make further comment?
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, as Councillor Chris quite rightly said, there are 4 very important recommendations in there. He dealt about the first one, which is the establishment of a Destination Lincolnshire. Well, we all know, those of us who work in tourism or have been involved in tourism in any way, that a DMO, a Destination Management Organisation, reaps benefits. It's a body, an independent body, mainly run by business, and it can do far more than just a local authority can do. If we look at the model we have that we wish to base the expansion on, the one in Lincoln, they have a track record of success, they have a track record of delivering for the City of Lincoln, and they have open doors at government. They know which doors, if the doors aren't open, they know where to knock. So what this paper is suggesting is that Visit Lincoln be expanded to become Destination Lincolnshire, and we take a key part in that. If you think about tourism, if you think about Lincolnshire, the East Coast is crucial in tourism. And I would argue that within our local authority and within our business community, we have experts about tourism. So I think it's only right and proper that we should be at the forefront of this DMO to make sure it does everything that we expect it to do. So that's the first thing. So the first thing is to approve. It then jumps down a little bit. And actually, if we talk about, go straight to recommendation 4, that is the fact that we delegate the Assistant Director for the Towns Deal to establish a service level agreement with this newly formed Destination Lincolnshire. So we have it in writing, what we'll be doing, what they'll be doing, and what we hope it will achieve. So I think that's really important. Many things come along and seem like really good ideas, but you don't actually have nailed down what you're looking to achieve and what's going to be delivered on your part. So I think it's really important we do that. A couple of other parts of the paper which I think are equally important. One of them is to ring fence £300,000 to support businesses with a range of tailored support and business programs and digital campaigns, etc., to support the economy going forward. So I think that's crucial, particularly to the coastal areas, but across the whole of East Lindsey, within the tourism sector, which is mainly the hospitality sector. These guys have had an horrific time, and we need to do everything we can to support them to not only bounce back, but if at all possible, to be better than they were before. So this is ring fencing some of the money that's been given to us by government to actually support a programme of measures to really enhance the visitor experience going forward. And then the final thing, which I think is I find really, really exciting, is to develop an East Lindsey destination strategy to incorporate Boston and reflect a joint cultural strategy across the Alliance. Because what I think Boston has that we don't have so much of in East Lindsey, we have some, but not so much, is a really, really rich heritage. If we think about Mayflower, if we look at some of the fantastic buildings they've got, if you add that to our traditional seaside offer, our wild coast offer, I think all of a sudden you've got a package which is going to appeal to so many people. I really think the two things united, working together, are a strength certainly far greater than the sum of the individual parts. So I think item number 3, recommendation 3, sorry, that destination strategy, which is a joint venture which joins Boston and East Lindsey together, is fully supported. So if Councillor Grist was proposing those 4 recommendations, I wholeheartedly support them, and I strongly urge my exec board colleagues to do exactly the same. Fantastic paper, a lot of work gone into it, and it's all positive. We have a roadmap.
Excellent.
We have a way to achieve. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Councillor Grist, Councillor Kirk, for that. I am actually going to ask Lydia Resling, who's been the lead officer involved with this with her team, if you'd like to add anything, Lydia.
Thank you, Councillor Leyland. I wanted to stress that these plans are very much complementary to the recovery plan that was presented earlier. It really focuses on those industries that have been impacted the most through COVID. And as Councillor Kirk said, that's not just the traditional tourism businesses, it's our hospitality businesses and it's our retail. So very much focused on what support we're giving to town centres. In relation to expanding the destination strategy across both pieces, in terms of the cultural elements, I really wanted to stress that's very much in line with looking at future funding patterns as well. Through the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, we're expecting imminently a recovery plan from them. I've been told that it's coming out in May and there will be funding packages associated with that. And I think in line with that as well, they are currently undertaking a DMO review. The person who's chairing that DMO review is a gentleman called Nick DeBoy, who is the chair of Visit England and Visit Britain. And we in the county have been recognised to be kind of ahead of the game in terms of what we're doing around the county DMO. And he's interviewing 2 destinations, and one of which is Visit Lincoln and Destination Lincolnshire. So we've got the opportunity to speak to him directly next Friday. So I just wanted to reiterate that these plans really are not, they're obviously very focused on recovery, but they're also looking at future funding opportunities to align with national government and also complement, obviously, the investment of the Towns Fund across the 3 towns, across the Strategic Alliance as well. Thank you.
Excellent. As Councillor Kirk and Councillor Grist have said, this is a really positive paper that brings much to us, and actually the potential of this is just so exciting. So thanks, Lydia, for all your team's work on this, and Councillor Grist and Councillor Kirk. Any comments from other colleagues? Okay, on that basis we will go to the vote. So Councillor Ashton is still absent. Councillor Beaukett?
4.
Councillor Foster?
4.
Councillor Fry?
4.
Councillor Gray?
4.
Councillor Grist?
Yeah, still just about here. I'm fully supportive.
Thank you. Councillor Kirk?
4.
Myself, I'll fully support. And Councillor Marsh?
4.
Excellent, thank you. So note, improve Councillor Grist's broadband. Right, okay, moving on. That's very, very exciting stuff. Okay, we now come to the date of the next meeting, which is programmed to be the 24th of April, 2021. We should now probably go off live streaming. Thank you.
I'll just stop the live stream.